Hi, I'm going to be working with you tonight when you do your problem set. This first problem is page 371, number 1. In a hat, you have index cards with the numbers 1 through 10 written on them. Order the events from least likely to happen to the most likely to happen. When you pick one card at random, in the boxes, write a number from 1 to 8 to order the 8 different events that you have right there. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is we have 10 cards. So let's go ahead, let's draw a little picture of 10 cards. So I'm just going to go ahead, actually I'm going to number from 1 to 10. So do that real quick. So imagine we have these 10 cards right here. Okay, so we can put a rectangle around them if we want. Doesn't really matter, just to get an idea. Okay, so as I'm finishing that up, I'm going to go ahead and start to read through that first question. First question or first event that's going to happen is the probability of you picking a number greater than 0. Okay, so the event's going to be greater than 0. Okay, so if I go ahead and I take a look at all these cards that we have over here, we're going to go ahead, we're going to take a look at them and count how many of them are larger than 0. Okay, well, if I go ahead and I take a look at them, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you pick a number greater than 0. Well, I've got 10 out of my 10 cards are going to be greater than 0. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead over here. For right now, I'm just going to write 10 over 10. Okay, and then if we want to simplify that down, we all know that that's going to be equal to 1 once you simplify it down. Okay, so the next question that they ask is you pick an even number. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at our even numbers. Okay, our even numbers right here are going to be our 2, our 4, our 6, and our 8, and we also have a 10 right here. So if we go back and we count how many we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 even numbers. And remember that altogether we have a total of 10 cards. So if we simplify that, that would be a 1/2. And if you want to make that into a decimal, we can, and that would be a 0.5. Okay, our next item that we have on this right here says you pick a number that is at least 2. At least 2. So it's not going to include 1, but it's going to be at least 2. So at least 2 would be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we go back and we count them when we have the green. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have a total of 9 out of 10. And if we change that over to decimal, it's going to be a 0.9. Okay, and then our next question that we have is you pick a number that is at most 0. At most 0. So I'm going to go ahead and make this one a purple. At most 0. That means it can be 0, it can be a negative number, but it can't be positives. So if I go ahead and I take a look at our list that we have right here, at most 0, it's not going to include any of these numbers that we have right here. None of these numbers would go ahead and work because they're all greater than 0. So we're going to end up with 0 out of 10, which would get us just a plain 0. Okay, our next question says you pick a number divisible by 3. Okay, so divisible by 3, let me give you kind of an example of that. If I had 9 I can divide by 3 evenly. There's no remainder, so we would say 9 is divisible by 3. If I had 7, and I said, is that divisible by 3? It's not going to be divisible by 3 because I would get 2, and then I would have a remainder of 1. It has to go in there nice and evenly. Okay, so I'm going to go back and take a look at our numbers. You pick a number divisible by 3. That means you can divide by 3. Well, 1 I can't divide by 3. 2 doesn't work. 3 does work, because if I go 3 divided by 3, I get 1. That works. Okay, 4 cannot divide by 3. 5 doesn't work. 6 does work, because if you go 6 divided by 3, you will get 2. Now 7 does not work. 8 is another one that doesn't work, but 9 does work. So we get 9, it does work, and 10 does not work because 10 you can't divide it by 3. So if I go back and take a look, I've got one of these orange, 2, and 3. And remember, this is out of 10, so I go 3 out of 10, which is going to get us a 0.3. Okay, our next one that we're going to go ahead and take a look at is you pick a number divisible by 5. Okay, that means you can divide it by 5. Like 10 you can divide by 5. Okay, and let's see. So I just mentioned 10, so 10 works. If I go through each of the numbers, 1 you can't divide by 5, 2 you can't, 3 you cannot, 4 you cannot, but 5 you can because 5 divided by 5 will get you 1. 6 you cannot, 7 you cannot, 8 you cannot, 9 you cannot, and then we already mentioned that 10 works. So if I look at these two right here in black, so that means I have 2 out of 10, which is 0.2. Make that a little clearer. Okay, our next one that we have is chance of you picking a prime number. Okay, remember prime and composite numbers? Okay, like a composite number is a number that you can, let's see, you can break it into its factors. Okay, so I can divide it by 2, divided by 2. Has exactly 2 factors, would give us a prime number. Let me give you an example. Like 3 would be a prime number because I could go 3 times 1. Those are the only 2 factors, 3 and 1. Like if I go back to this number 4, I have more than 2 factors. I have the numbers 1, 2, and 4. So we would have 3 factors. So these would be composite. And then over here, you have a prime number because you only have 2 numbers, exactly 2 numbers. So this would be considered a prime number. So a quick little review on primes. Okay, so the problem says you pick a prime number. So if I go ahead and I take a look right here, I have the number 1. Well, the problem with 1 is if I go ahead and I break it into its factors, we have 1 times 1, but technically you only have 1 factor. So it is not prime nor is it composite, so that does not work. Now if I go 2, 2 only has 2 factors, 1 and itself, because you can go 1 times 2. So that one would work, so I'm going to check it. 3, same kind of thing. I've got 1 and 3, so there's only 2 that would work, so that would be a prime. Now 4, I just mentioned before, that one has 1, 2, and 4. So that one's definitely not going to work, so I won't put a check by it. 5, that's going to be another composite, excuse me, that's going to be another prime number. The only 2 factors are 1 and 5, so I'm going to put a little check right there. Now the number 6, that one we can go ahead and go 1 times 6, 2 times 3, so 2 and 3 are also included. So we got a lot, so that would not be a prime number. 7 is going to be a prime number because you only have 1 and 7. 8 is not going to be a prime number. It's going to be a composite because you have 1, 2, 4, and 8. Now 9, you can go 1 times 9, but you can also go 3 times 3. So that makes it composite. And then the number 10 is going to be 1, 2, and then let's see, 2 times 5, and then also 10. So that one's also going to be a composite. So out of all these over here, I've got all my checks here. Okay, so I've got a check here, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to write down 4 out of 10. Okay, and let's go ahead. I'm going to pick one more color over here. Let's use this darker color, dark red. Okay, it says you pick a number less than the greatest possible prime. You pick a number less than the greatest possible prime. Let's think about that. The greatest possible prime, let's see, in our set of numbers, our greatest possible prime number, we have to go back to all our primes, we're looking for the little check mark, would be here. You pick a number less than the greatest possible prime. Okay, so it was the 7, because this was our greatest possible prime. So you pick a number less than it, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's going to be 6 out of 10. So that's going to be 0.6. Now the last thing is, now we're going to go ahead and take all of this, and we're going to put them all in order. So let's read that one more time. Order the events from least likely to happen to most likely. Okay, so we're going to start off with least likely. It's going to be with the lowest number, which is going to be this one right here. It's going to be, so we'll make that a 1. Okay, and then we're looking for the next one. Okay, I believe it's going to be this one with the 0.2. That's going to be our second one. I did make a little error. I want to correct it right now. Okay, and I think some of you have already noticed it. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to fix that right here. This right here should be 0.4, not. Actually, I'm going to scratch that out. Apologize for that. It's going to be a 0.4, and that'll be something that we need to make sure. Okay, so our next one's going to be our 0.3. And then our next one looks like it's going to be this 0.4 right here. So let's make it a 4. Okay, and then our next one's going to be this 0.5. We'll put that right here. Okay, then the next one looks like we're going to go all the way down to this 6. And then we're going to go all the way up to the 0.9. I'm just putting them in order from the smallest to the greatest probability. Okay. So let me just make sure we wrote that correctly. It says write a number from 1 to 8 to order the 8 different events. Okay, so now they are in order from the least likely to the greatest likely. So hopefully that helped you out tonight.